here on the Delmarva Coast. We all love living here because the views. Many reasons, but the views are a big one. We have views like none other in the country, and who better to capture them than an amazing photographer?
We've got plenty along Delmarva's coast.
Yes.
It's so cool to actually have somebody in studio to
Yes.
tell us about their work.
That's right. So we want to introduce you to Kim Johnson. You are an amazing photographer. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Of course. So first, I just want to know what got you into photography. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I grew up around cameras. My dad was a photographer in Vietnam. He also was a video photographer for 2 different news stations. So I grew up around cameras. My grandfather had, cameras and was into photography. And, so I always had a camera. My dad would buy like the little ones that you take the pictures with, and he would give me those when we would go on trips, and he'd let me take pictures, and he would develop those. And then I really, after I moved out from home, and I moved to Delaware in '91, I really didn't do a whole lot in photography. And probably about 15 years after that, I was given a camera for my birthday. And I started playing around, taking pictures and stuff, but it was never anything serious. And it sat on the bookshelf for many, many years. And I had another friend that was into photography, and she was like, "Hey, let's take your camera out and go and take some pictures." And they were horrible, but I kept at it. She taught me how to shoot in manual, and I just kind of went from there. And then in 2015, I got sober, and I needed something to do. So I used to drive around, Sussex County and around, and I used to play this little game called I Wonder Where This Road Goes.
Oh.
And that's where I found a lot of the places that I go and that I shoot at.
What an interesting story.
Yeah, very much so. Congratulations, by the way.
Yes,
Thank you.
Definitely.
But sort of speaking of those landscapes, I took one photography class in college, and it was so hard. And I think, especially for us, a generation that's grown up with phones that take wonderful pictures for us, it makes you think, oh yeah, I'm a photographer, but there's such an art to it. And I think especially capturing landscapes, what are some of the differences that you see between a trained eye versus an influencer eye, perhaps?
So I think that you can be trained with your camera, but I don't think that anybody can teach you how to see things. And I think that's what photography is all about. It's how you see it, and it's a reflection of your feelings about what you're shooting.
I like that. Okay. And then what are some of your favorite things to shoot, or is it always kind of a surprise to you what you're going to take pictures of?
Sometimes it's always a surprise. People think that I just walk out with my camera and stumble upon everything. Sometimes it can be a little bit, and sometimes it can be all day, and sometimes I don't get anything. But my favorite is the wildlife that we have around here, and we have so much of it.
Yeah, there is a lot of great wildlife and a lot of great scenery as well. Like we said, I mean, I know that the towers are a popular image that we see all throughout the Delaware beaches for sure. I mean, there's a lot of wetlands. Do you find that maybe there's even a time of day that you really like to shoot some of these great landscapes?
A lot of the times the morning and the night. It's what is called golden hour. It's an hour before sunset and an hour before sunrise, where the light is just, sometimes it can be just amazing. And it just, the way it hits things. And like most photographers, like myself, I'm very into light, the way the light hits things, the way the light moves through things, can make an image all that better.
Yeah, I know you mentioned animals, taking videos of the wildlife or pictures of the wildlife. I'm always trying to get pictures of ducks or geese or deer, and it never works. Do you have any encounters or funny stories you could tell us about or advice on how to shoot animals?
On how to shoot animals. Well, I know a lot of people, when they shoot in manual, which that's the one thing that you have to do. You have to shoot in manual. There's a big difference between auto and manual.
Sure.
The best way to get the best pictures of wildlife is having a fast shutter. No matter, your ISO can be high. There's so many great programs that can remove noise out of images, but the faster shutter usually gets your best wildlife pictures.
My problem is that I'm using my iPhone. Then that
there
makes
it
sense.
is.
And actually with an iPhone Pro, there is a way that you can set different settings in there, so you could have a little bit faster, but nothing like what a camera can do.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are some of the projects you've been working on lately?
Let's see. Well, none really. I've been shooting some, always looking for the wildlife, and always, sunrises and sunsets. The smoke kind of killed that for a little bit. So, I actually got some time to sleep in a little bit because I'm like, it's just gray and a red ball.
Yep,
That was
we were
depressing.
seeing.
Yeah, and so, but like I've focused back more on the wildlife because that seems to be, well, it's my favorite out of everything. And, it seems, like springtime, you have the babies, you have the baby horses at Assateague, you have all the other, babies, the ospreys that we have here, fox kits.
Yeah.
The bunnies, there's a billion bunnies everywhere.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Well, we want to look at more of your photos and talk a little bit more about what you've been shooting. So we'll be right back with Kim Johnson. You're watching CoastLife, and we are back with the very talented Kim Johnson. Kim, we were talking about some of your favorite things to photograph and to look at through your camera. If someone wants to look at those same photos, though, where can they find you in some of your photos? I have a Facebook page, it's Kim Johnson Photography. I also have a gallery in Lewis with my partner Susan McLean. It's, we have all of our work in there. We have wildlife, we have beach, everybody loves pictures of the Indian River Inlet Bridge, so we have, like the Staples, the Townsend Barn, and other different things there.
Yes, and you were recently on the cover of a magazine with your photography, correct?
Yes. I was on the July cover of the Delaware Beach Life magazine. It's my fourth cover.
Nice.
They're always a nice surprise.
Yeah,
That's very
and this
cool.
was of an eagle, you said?
Yes.
Now how long can it sometimes take to get a cover-worthy shot like that?
Sometimes, it can take a long time. Like I said, like sometimes you can go and like, okay, this place has eagles, Some days you can go there and see, 50 of them, and some days you don't see any. It's sometimes it's a lot of time. I mean, there are days that I go from before sunrise until after sunset.
Wow, committed.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So you may have seen some of her photos and you didn't even know it.
Yep. But your work is also available for purchase, right?
Yes, it is at the gallery in Lewis. It's called the Gallery on Savannah. It's on Savannah Road, up on the forgotten quarter mile of Savannah Road, up by the beach.
Okay. Very cool. And then we were talking too, I know that if someone is interested now and you have piqued their interest, which I'm sure you have, and they want a photo that they have in their mind but they can't get it themselves, you can help them out with that.
Sure, absolutely. If anybody had anything in mind that they wanted that, either one of us don't have, we could go out and take pictures of that as well.
Okay. And Kim, before we let you go too, if there's anyone out there that is an aspiring photographer and they want some advice from someone like you, what advice would you give them?
Well, I don't really have like any formal training. A lot of the things that I've, learned how to do and have done, they've either been, hit and miss, playing with the camera. Sure. There's tons of great videos and how-tos on, Google and YouTube. I mean, it's like something like you're dedicated to it, and you really want to learn it. It's possible to do whatever you want to with a camera.
Good to know.
That's awesome. I mean, I think art sort of lends itself to that in that there's so much that you can learn, but I think you learn so much more from making your mistakes and what doesn't work. And all those hours that you spent failing are going to be what ultimately leads to those cover-worthy shots.
Yes,
Great.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being in here.
Thank you for having me.
Sharing your art with us. It's very impressive.
Thank you.
And we have a lot more art and some beautiful things to look at because the Delmarva Coast is full of them when we come back. So don't go anywhere.